One thing I've done on the farm since the beginning is permanent solutions. I just hate doing stuff over and over and over again. One reason I hate lawn mowing is because it just feels like an endless activity that never solves the problem of keeping the grass short. It's something I've done continually, and it's one of the reasons I'm no-till was I was trying to solve the problem of rebuilding beds. It seemed like every season I have to rebuild them. And it's an even worse problem if you have raised beds, which I never do. Having to rebuild them all the time. Relay them out so that I'm not wasting space. I don't want to have to relay out my paths and lay out my beds. And that's a big thing, and that's even down to small things. If I'm walking back to the tool rack to get this knife all the time that we use in the prop house, then I'll just wire one to the wall in the prop house so we don't have to walk back and forth for that. Just solving those problems permanently, big problems, small problems, continually, and it just makes life so much easier. It just makes it so much more relaxed, so much easier, with each one of those things getting solved, and it just becomes less and less and less of them. And a few seasons ago we had our tomatoes freeze. It was a terrible, horrible situation. We did rebound from it. We did get them restarted, replanted pretty quickly. And because we do it so early in the season, we were able to get them in the ground and things were okay. But I wanted to make sure that never happened again. And the situation that we did have was, we start them early, we put them in a heated house, and I put a backup heater in there just in case. I also have a sensor in the house that will let me know if the temperature drops. Well, when I was going to market, I got a reading that the temperature was dropping. It wasn't freezing yet, so I figured maybe, the backup heater didn't kick on yet and things would be okay. And then I get another reading and it's still going down. So at this point I call my wife and she runs out to the house in the middle of the night, and it was just too late, and the temperature had dropped so quickly that the tomatoes froze. And what had happened was the breaker had gone. And it switched to breaker because when the backup heater came on, it was just a little too much power for the 15 amps, and so it's a breaker, whatever. But, so I want to make sure that was solved permanently. So what I did was I ended up bringing a 40 amp wire out to that house along with the 15 amp so that I could take the backup heater, put that on a completely different switch, take things off the 15 amp breaker, put it on the 40 amp so that I would never overload. That would never ever happen again. And then what I also did is I created an outlet. And so now we have an outlet which is attached to the greenhouse controller. So now the greenhouse controller can control the backup heater. And just to back up, this is our tomato house, but it's the middle of winter. And so it's just lettuce heads, but I already have it set up because we're getting ready to plant tomatoes in it. So the backup heater is in here now. Right now it's not being heated, but as soon as the tomatoes go in, it's gonna get heated. So this is the backup heater. So I can turn this off if I'm on my way to market, I can turn on the backup heater from the van using my iPhone. So I can turn it on from here, and it's just an outlet that turns on and off from the controller. And then here's the backup heater. And this is just in case, if it's a really bad night, something happens, who knows what. It just runs on kerosene. and I just, keep it full with a little extra kerosene. And these things are amazing, they're pretty efficient. They can, it's 175,000 BTUs, and that's really, really good. And that will make sure this house doesn't freeze, along with the main heater. So maybe overdoing it and solving the problem, but now I don't have to worry about it, because you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars worth of tomato plants that are going to be going in here, and I want to make sure it never happens again. And so it's just something I do, throughout the farm, is continually trying to solve a problem in a permanent way where I never have to go back to it. And whether it's a problem with like this, where it's a technical problem, it could be how explaining to workers how something is done. If something isn't working in that explanation, or something isn't working, with some vegetable, that I am always looking for something permanent. It's one reason I don't like spraying, because spraying doesn't seem like a permanent solution. I'd rather figure out some other means of controlling the problem, even if it costs some money and there's an investment, because I just want my life to get easier, not harder. And so I'd rather make the investment so that over the long term, the farm just gets easier. I'm not adding in some job that I have to do continually over and over and over again. So permanent solutions goes along with no till, no tractor. It all stems from the same idea.